Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rob and Marvy. Well, we're wrapping up with this video all of our experiences as far as traveling around the United States, living as nomads. During that time, let me see, I walked about 2,700 kilometers, or halfway across the United States. We lived in the van for almost 3.5 or almost 4 years. Traveled all over the United States. Have a lot of fishing experiences. Developed friendships with a lot of the other nomads, people like Bob Wells and many other people. Did some work camping experiences. So we pretty much ran the gauntlet as far as that is concerned. We're now in Mexico and we have a place to live. I'm teaching English online, which is what I have done for the last 10 or 11 years as an online teacher. I can afford a little bit of a studio setup, so we're going to have in this video a little bit better, hopefully, sound and lighting. But I want to go over and wrap up everything with something I call the 10 Commandments of living this type of life. Okay, and I'm going to divide it up into two videos. The second one will be the last 6 through 10. I want to go over 1 through 5. Now, before I get going, many of you are going to go, that isn't the way I experienced it, or they're going to say that's not true at all, or oh yeah. But I think some of you are, and hopefully the goal of these videos is for you to, with a sense of humor, and don't give me any, I find this offensive because the 10 Commandments, So that being said, I'm hoping with the goal of this that some of you that are planning to either be on the road will find this useful, or if you're already on the road, you might go, yeah, I didn't think about that, okay? There's things that you may disagree with. That's okay. My channel, my opinion. And you're welcome to put, as long as it's constructive and not like a troll. If you disagree or you have other information, please write it in the comments below. Everybody who's reading these comments might learn from your experience, okay? So, first of all, commandment number 1. Thou shalt have enough money. Now, I've had many heated debates. I used to be on Facebook groups, but, I would say things like, you should have a certain amount of money in the bank for emergencies. And I'd have people saying, whoa, Rob, stay in your own lane, mind your own business. Some of us don't have any money. Okay, so my belief is if you are homeless or you're living in your vehicle, you're not the ones I'm talking about here. Okay, you're in a desperate situation. I'm addressing people in this video who are willing nomads, or even if they're not willing, they have made a decision to leave that safety of that area that they may be in to go out on the road and drive 100 miles here one week, 300 miles there the next week, and whatever. In those cases, you need the money in case of an emergency. If you have no money, don't go driving around. Again, my opinion. Don't go driving around. Don't go to the national parks and all of this stuff on a shoestring budget where you have nothing. I think Bob Wells, and I agree with this based on my own experience, you should have at least $3,000 in the bank if you have a van, and maybe 10,000 if you have an RV. And the higher number is because RVs cost more to repair, and you're not as apt to just leave it because you can't afford it and buy another one. But in a van for $3,000, if the worst case scenario is it gets totaled or whatever, or stolen, you can always buy a little minivan or something that you could live in an emergency. Okay. But that's not the only reason to have that. There are hotel expenses, there's repairs, there's towing. There are times when your car or your vehicle is broken down, or you just want to take a shower. Marvy and I were in the desert for quite some time, and she developed pneumonia. You have to, at some point, get out of that dusty environment if you're suffering a health problem. And we had the money to stay in a hotel for a week with the air conditioning filtering and out of the dust. That helped along with her medication to recover. So those types of things. Hopefully you have on the road road service in your insurance. If not, you really should get it and make sure that your vehicle's covered. Okay, so that's really important. So have enough money for emergencies, for breakdowns, and also getting sick. Even if you have medical insurance, usually it doesn't cover dental. And I've lost a couple teeth, and I've had some major chips and breaks and things. And when you're in severe pain, they're not going to take you unless you can pay for it. So you want to have that. And the main reason you want to do this first commandment, thou shalt have enough money, is it gives you peace of mind. If you're out traveling, really trying to enjoy this life, which is difficult, you don't want that dark cloud over your head of what's going to happen if, I don't have enough money. Now, is $3,000 enough? No, it depends. If you have no medical insurance and you break your back or whatever, it may not be. But let's be realistic. $3,000 is obtainable for most people. Don't buy the 6-pack of beer. Forget about the carton of cigarettes, whatever. And there's still going to be people who just can't do it. And again, in those cases, don't go on the road. Okay? Sorry, folks, but that's what it is. Number one, thou shalt have enough money. Okay, so number two, thou shalt know where you are going. Okay, you need to know where you're going. That free spirit of I don't know, let's just drive and find a place. You're going to get lucky once in a while, but it's not a good idea. You kind of really need to know where you're going, because even once you get there may be surprises, things you haven't counted on. Okay. So one of the big things about knowing where you're going is, and this is kind of a golden rule with anybody who's been on the road, is try never to go anywhere where you arrive after dark. If you haven't been there before, if you don't have reservations, don't do it. And the next one, or a part of that, is know where you're going, is have an understanding of the United States. There are websites all over the place that help you out. You can just look under the .gov for BLM lands, things like that. But you want to know, because some of these, or a lot of these places, there's cost associated with them. National parks, state parks, there are costs associated with those. Can you get a car? If you're retirement age or over, I think, 62, it may cost $80 for an America, Great America, or See America, I forgot the name of it, card for most people for the year, $80. For a senior, it's only $20 a year or $80 for a lifetime. So, and what that entitles you to is free entrance all the time to any national park. But also, if you have to camp in a national park, which is usually really expensive, it's 50% off in most situations. I don't want to go into all of these, but basically, campgrounds, RV resorts, a lot of people are leaving this life who have RVs simply because they can't get reservations. After this whole COVID thing and the popularity of these YouTube videos, people are just swarming and going out, and a lot of these are booked. Now, for you van people, you want to be careful because there's a lot of discrimination with vans. You know, you just may not be able to get into these places because even though they have 24-hour swimming pools, 24-hour restrooms, unless you have a physical restroom in your van, a bathroom in your van, and you can show it to them, they're not going to let you in. Also, a lot of these places have a 10-year-old rule for RVs, so plan ahead. And finally, when you know where you're going, do not assume that all Walmarts are closed or all Walmarts are open. They're all different. The big box stores, it's the same thing. Parking anywhere in an urban setting, it really depends on that area and that specific manager. First of all, the manager at Walmart can make that decision. It's not a national blanket decision. But then also, even though they may allow you to do it, they may be on property that have other stores on it, and they're renting a spot on that property. And that property, we've gotten knocks on the doors and told to get off the property right after Walmart told us we could park in there. And finally, talking about that area with Walmart, first line, second line would be the property. Who says it and will they allow you? Would be the city ordinances. Boise doesn't allow it. I don't care what anyone says, Walmart, the property owners, whatever, unless they are zoned for overnight camping with facilities, they're not allowed to do that. Which leads us to when we were in Boise, truck stops and rest areas. You know, I've had people say, oh my gosh, rest areas, you know, they only allow you to stay for an hour or two. Yeah, BS. You know, I've been through all of the states and there's only one stop I've been in that told you 1 hour. Most of them have a certain amount of time. Some may be 6 hours, but most are 8, 12, or 24 hours, you know. So that is something you want to do. And by the way, don't camp. You know, you can't set up tents and things like that. And it's real helpful not to do your slides out and things like that. You're staying for the night. You're not staying there for a week. Okay, so try to step easy so we don't lose that access. And also, it goes for rest areas as well as truck stops. Don't park in the truck area. I've seen little vans in the truck areas at rest stops and rest areas and truck stops that go right to where the trucks are, and they park in one of the truck spots right in between two other trucks. These people are making a living. They need a place to sleep. Now, I understand if you have a huge rig, it's not set, the regular parking is not set up for huge rigs. Okay, but if you're going to do that at a truck stop, ask before. Don't just go back and pull. They may have an accommodation for you in the front. So again, be aware of all of those things. So let me see. I think that's it. Thou shalt know where you're going. Do a little bit of a homework. It's going to save you so many hardships before you arrive. And the third one, thou shalt clean up after yourself. Okay? And the big thing that I think a lot of Americans are sorely missing is the fact that you want to be considerate of other people. You know, clean up after yourself. You can go to a camp and, okay, so maybe you're a little messy. Who cares? I mean, if you like to, you know, have a big trash bucket out, or you've piled a bunch of things to burn in the fire and you put the fire out and there's still a lot of trash in it, be sure that when you leave, pick it up. Now, even if you arrive to a spot and it's filthy, it's not really an excuse to say, well, I didn't do it. You know, we didn't raise our kids that, or maybe some of you did raise your children that way, but I didn't raise my child that way, and I wouldn't do it. I mean, if I get to a spot and it's filthy, I'll either make a decision to keep driving or I'm going to stop, and if I'm going to stay there, I'm going to pick up as much as I can and put it in bags. Speaking of that, don't let it in there. I have seen a lot of places where people think they're good Samaritans. They pick up and they put all of their trash and other people, and they put it in these big, giant trash bags. But then they leave it. They go, oh, well, they'll come by and pick it up. someone, the state forest or the park people, well, that's their job. No, it's not. It's your job. Put your stuff away. Clean it up. Okay? Now here's a really good tip. If you most people do these big bags, you can't get rid of them. It's really hard to find dumpsters. Or if you find a dumpster, a lot of them have locks on them. If they don't have locks on them, they have saying no dumping. And so you have to do it at 4 a.m, or you drop it and then you have somebody in your car, burning rubber to get away. One way to get around that is to use small trash bags. Either buy them or use the Walmart ones. I don't even want to get into them charging for plastic bags anymore. But if they're charging for plastic bags, look in the front of like a Walmart store. A lot of times they have big cardboard boxes for recycling bags, and you'll find a bag with 100 bags thrown in there and tied. You can grab those. But the great thing about the smaller bags is that you can drop them in just about any trash dispenser. So you may have 4 or 5 of them versus one big thing, but it's a lot easier. Just drop them in 1 or 2 of these small trash places. So that's something to consider. Dog waste too. I'm so tired of going to a spot and people have let their dogs shit all over the place. Okay, if you're in the forest and you're walking, there's debate on whether that's a good thing to do, to leave the waste. Most people do. But if you're in a camping area, even if it's on BLM land or dispersed camping, pick up your dog stuff that's right in that area. What I do is if I'm there for a week or 2 and it's in the desert and hot, I kind of leave it for a day or 2, let it kind of dry out. That makes it a lot easier to pick it up, and also doesn't smell as bad. And finally, the other thing about being considerate of other people is I have my religious and political beliefs, and I'm sure you do too. When I go camping, I want to go camping. I want to see the trees. I don't want to see your Trump flag. I don't want to see your Black Lives Matter flag. I don't give a rat's butt what you feel or think politically. It's nauseating. I don't care. Leave your ego and your thing about your politics. Keep it in your own house or in your own RV. Line your walls with all of that political or religious crap. I don't care. I have my own beliefs. So do the people all around you. If you want to do Black Lives Matter or a Trumper type convention in a special area when no one's around, go and wave all the flags you want. But in a public area, I'm really sick of it. It's really annoying. So I'm not saying there's no freedom of speech, but what I'm saying is be considerate of other people. Realize that not everybody believes what you do. And as much as I'm probably not going to convince you about my beliefs by waving my flag, in fact, I won't convince you. What makes you think that because you're waving a flag, you're going to convince other people, unless you just want to annoy them? In that case, just go away, okay? So please, to wrap up this whole thing, please think about that third commandment. Thou shalt clean up after yourself. Be considerate of others. Okay, now the fourth one is very simple. Thou shalt be equipped. You want to make sure that now you can't carry a backup transmission with you. You can't do pistons and rings. You can't carry a backup to your backup tire. But you can carry emergency flares. You can carry plugs to plug a puncture. And you can buy a cigarette lighter compressor. If you do that, though, just make sure that it's powerful enough for your PSI. So you buy one that's only rated at 30 PSI, but your back tires are rated at 80. You're just going to blow it up and still be stuck where you are. So the plugs for a flat tire, of course, you want your jacks to lift it up and to change it. You want your spare tire, and you want to be able to blow it up again once you fix it. Not only do you want to blow it up, but if you ever get stuck in the sand or the dirt, one of the common, very effective tricks is to lower the air in your tires by a considerable amount. That increases the surface area of the rubber of your tires, and you can get out. Then you can just use the air compressor before you get back on the road and blow it back up. So those are a couple of the things. Jumper cables are great. Everybody has them, but think about this. I've been in situations where I've got a dead battery in the middle of nowhere. No one's around. What do? Well, you can get one of these jump boxes. They're under $100, and they're a lifesaver. If you're in the middle of nowhere and you have a dead battery, all you have to do is pop the hood, take this thing out, assuming you've charged it, and then hook it to your batteries, jump your car, and you're on your way. I have also helped countless people with these who come up and go, can you jump my car? And a lot of times I don't want to move my van, or I'm not at a place where I can get, but then you got to open your hoods and do all of that stuff. I just pull this out and tell them, here, take a picture of this, buy one of these. Now I will help you jump your car. Going back to being stuck in the sand, some people carry these, what would they call these? I don't know the name of them. The plastic that fits under your wheels. I didn't have the space to do that. But one thing you do want to have, and I would highly suggest, is you can buy them at Walmart or online. And they're the webbing, the yellow webbing, and they're very long, and they've got metal hooks on either side. And I have towed friends who've been maybe a half a mile or a mile off the main highway, so the tow truck can pick them up in their van. Because tow trucks rarely will go on the dirt roads. You have to get to the road for them to tow you. That's one reason. The other reason is if you're stuck in the sand. We've been buried up to our axles in sand, and luckily we found one person within a mile that came over and helped us. And I had everything ready to go. All they had to do is get in front of me, hook it up, pull me out, and we were on our way. So, thou shalt be equipped. And finally, I'd like to conclude this one with, and before I do, I'm going to put a time sequence in the notes below. So if you have watched all of these and you want to go back and reference one, you can just look at the timestamp and click on it, and it'll take you to that part. Okay, so thou shalt be safe. That's the fifth commandment, and it should be obviously the most important one. Weapons. Weapons are a very great one. The first one and the biggest one is really to avoid the situation to begin with. We've been in situations where the hair kind of stood up on the back of my neck, or what's left of it, and it just that little voice saying, "You're not supposed to be here. You're going to get in trouble," or this could be a really bad situation. Same thing as if we meet people and we disagree and things start to escalate. The great thing about our life is we can either hook up everything and take off, or just in a van simply jump in the front seat and take off. We've been in a really bad situation where it was 11:30 at night and we made the decision to get out of it. 20 minutes later, we were sleeping in Phoenix somewhere at a Walmart, or just outside of Phoenix at a Walmart, totally safe. So be aware of your situations. Weapons, let's talk about weapons. Dogs are your best friend. Cats, I know a lot of you are cat people. Good for you, bless your heart. But you won't hear a cat bark really loud or meow as a warning or as to wake you up. You just won't. And they don't really intimidate people. But a good old dog, is just perfect. So if you have a pet or you want to travel with a pet, it's great. And like with all pets, treat them like your family. You have to understand you're going to be limited with what you can do. You can't leave a pet when it's 100 degrees out in the car. So the idea that you want to go in and see a matinee and stay cool and eat popcorn while your pet is in the car, that's not going to work. But by all means, I think besides common sense and avoidance of situations and poor judgment, dog is probably the best. The second line of less severe weapons are these air horns. Scares the crap out of people. I mean, if somebody starts, at night, start to come, just blow that thing right in their face. One, they get shocked by it, and two, it alerts other people around. Speaking of alerting other people around, we've been in these situations, by the way, where a bunch of us were camping. We weren't really friends, but we were all kind of within a group, and we all had these a couple of people in kind of a trashy car, kind of a little bit crazy, and they were asking information about us, and they go, "Well, we'll be back later on." Oh, they were going to dump all of their trash. They had bags of trash, and a bunch of us went over and said, "You can't just use this area as a trash dump." And they go, "Oh, well, we'll be back." And we said, "No, after you take your trash back in your vehicle." And so we were really concerned. First of all, we made sure we had a number of the local police department. We called them, let them know the situation, and what number to reach them if anything escalated. The second thing we did was we exchanged phone numbers with the people we were camping with. So in case one woman who might be 200 yards away was getting some unwanted attention, she could make a call. A couple of us could come over. So that's a great way to do it, the community approach. And finally, weapons. I'm a big bear spray person. I like bear spray. You can get pepper spray too. My wife likes knives, so she has a bunch of knives. Let's talk about guns. Okay, guns is a very divisive thing. I would never carry a gun in my car for several reasons. Now, first of all, I love guns. I used to hunt when I was a kid. I love skeet shooting with shotguns. They're really fun. I like guns. I play shooter games, nothing, no problem with that. But for me, personally, for me, I would hate the idea that I shoot someone through my van because it's 2 a.m. and they're pounding and yelling and screaming and I'm scared. I wake up and I grab the gun and I fire. If I'm just freaking out, I make a poor judgment. And that turns out to be a couple drunk 17-year-old boys just out raising hell. Is it really worth killing them? Now, you may say, well, that would never happen because I use common sense and I would never. Okay, well, that's you. I don't trust myself and my judgment in every situation to 100% of the time make the smartest decision. I've never had any issues where I needed a gun. And also, if I'm camping in like Arizona or Nevada, everybody else has a gun, and people know that. So when people come over to rob you, they're not. The chances are a lot lower. So what you can do is, if you don't want to carry a gun, and you agree with me, but you kind of want to do an extra precaution, get a bunch of NRA stickers and put them on your car, and that will get people thinking that you have a gun. But if you carry a gun and you feel comfortable with it, that's absolutely your right and good for you. And I hope one day, if it ever leads to you using it, it actually serves its intended purpose. Okay, so that's it for the first 5. I'm going to put a video in a little while about the next ones, but let me know your comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think? And so until my next video, we'll see you down the road.